Hello, hello, good evening, everyone. Sky Houston here, representing Radio 1 Houston, Magic 102.1, 97.9 The Box, and the new Praise 92.1. It is a pleasure to be on with you today in this, let's say, one of a kind time in all of our lives. Today, we're going to have a wonderful panel. I'd like to say an elite panel who's going to really enlighten us all on how to first build community and secondly, build wealth, because they are synonymous. You can't build one without the other, or rather you shouldn't. So if you are joining us now, please share, please like this, share it, invite others to tap on, because the game is going to be given on today. So if you guys are ready, I'd like to go ahead and get started for this evening. I'd like to welcome my friend in the industry. He's just a great guy. I've known him for some years now, and every time he gets on here, he drops knowledge, and he does it in a real and raw way. So I'd like to welcome Mr. Philip Yates. Are you there, Phil?
Hey, Sky, how are you?
Hey, Phil. I'm wonderful. Listen, we were on social media talking about how ready we were for today, ready for the world, ready to give the world, give the community, local, and those who are tuning in from other cities the game. Why were you excited? Let me ask you this. I posted this on our Instagram page the other day, and Phil dropped it. He didn't drop in my DMs. He dropped right in the comments, like, I'm looking forward to this. What made you excited about the conversation we're having tonight?
Well, one, she didn't say the whole story. That was Saturday night. So this is me getting my clothes ready like the first day of school, because I'm so excited about this conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I know it's something that's near and dear to your heart. I've been following you for years. I know it's near and dear to Radio 1 and all of our partners and our panelists, that it's time for us to start bringing the conversation about building wealth back to the community. I mean, this is the time where we sit around the dinner table and we talk about how you do your taxes. How do you start your business? How do you grow your wealth? How do you save it? How do you preserve it? And how do you pass it on? And so I'm excited not only to hear, talk about my new platform, Equiliberty, but also hear about my fellow panelists. I mean, they're subject matter experts in their own right. They have their own companies, and all of us have really been just doing this work for so long. But now it's time for us to do it together, so that your listeners and your community can follow us and hopefully receive the benefit and join us in this journey to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to build wealth.
Absolutely. You said a few things in that I want to touch on before we bring the others up. The first thing was, you said we've been having these conversations around the table, the dinner table. And actually, I'd like to say we haven't been having them. Some of us have been fortunate to have them. And then there's others like me who have never had the conversation in our homes, which makes me excited. If I can answer the question for myself, what makes me excited to have this conversation is knowing where I am now and how much further along I could have been had we been having these conversations earlier. So we're going to dig into that. But tell me, Phil, I've known you working in corporate America at other entities, but today we have the honor of having you on as co-founder and CEO of Equiliberty Inc. So please tell the people about this new platform, what it is, and just give us some details on it.
No, absolutely. I'm excited for myself, and shout out to my entire team at Equiliberty who's been working on this. Started even with my cousin, who's my co-founder, Rachel Howard. It was a dream over 10 years ago.
It was really a dream. That's biggie.
You see the biggie in the back? Do you not see the picture in the back? I like how, see, we're here, Sky, we are here. But no, it's a technology platform that was designed to build community and help solve some of the problems that's staggering or preventing us from building generational wealth. And so it has three focuses. One, to diversify property ownership. Two, to support minority-owned businesses inside their neighborhoods. And three, link people to information, capital, and markets. And these are three things that at some point in time or another you have to do in order to build your wealth. And it's happened in silos. So to your point earlier, no, we're not all having the conversation around the dinner table, but we're having a conversation. Yeah. And so like you and I were talking on another platform, and we were just as we exchanged ideas, you realize that we're not always getting the full story of the picture, because maybe, again, my mom and dad didn't come from generational wealth, or they're not generational entrepreneurs, or maybe they were first-time entrepreneurs and they passed down what they knew. And so now is the time for us to actually get the entire playbook get access to that information, get access to people who are doing it, who can serve as mentors. And then let's link people to capital early on so that they have the platform to be able to grow their business or own financial assets inside their community. One of the things, just going back to that dinner table conversation that we've seen is once somebody does make it, they're forced to leave their environment, or they have to go somewhere else to get that information and knowledge and be validated. Why can't we do it here? Because we've seen it time and time again where when we're around the table and we use our collective knowledge for a common good, we get the right solutions, but we just haven't had the environment. So this technology platform is going to help facilitate that experience through gamification and through other opportunities through free business education, free financial literacy, access to mentors, and ultimately access to capital to help drive that engine so we can build wealth inside our community.
I like it. And speaking of financial entities, we have a couple who are on today. I want to go ahead and start inviting some of the panel in. We have the founders of SpendDebt. Are they here, Kylie and Tylisha Summers? Are you guys there? Hey.
What's going on? Thank you for the invitation. Pleasure to be on with you, Sky and TY. I mean, Philip, we go back like 4 flat tires, my friend.
Philip is going back with everybody. See, we're going to talk about this. I mentioned at the top of this, if you're just logging on, maybe you're just getting home or tapping on the Facebook link or the YouTube link, share this. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, leave comments. I see Damon on there. I see Miss K saying hello, Kim saying hello. Hey, everybody, please share this, share the information, share the links, tell people to just hop on and see what we're talking about in the game we're given. I got my I'm gonna call them the money people on the line, Kylie and Tylisha with SpendDebt. Tell us a little bit about, tell us a little bit about SpendDebt. You guys are the CEO. I mentioned earlier, I said they were going to be experts in what they do. And these are all CEOs running their own businesses right now. So guys, tell us a little bit about what SpendDebt is.
So SpendDebt is a financial technology company that helps people pay off debt every time they swipe their debit card or have a banking transaction. Ultimately, our mission is to help 1 million families avoid financial fatalities every time they swipe their debit card or have a
She said fatality.
That's right.
That's a big word, financial fatality.
Yes.
Why did it get so serious? What happened? Fatality. Why is it a fatality, Kylie? Tell us.
If you think about our buying power, there's a community, right? We spend like crazy. We lead all of the world in how we spend our money, right?
Absolutely.
But if we're not using those behaviors for our good, it can and will be a fatality. If we're just spending and not investing or not buying things that's going to create value for us, it will be a financial fatality for us. And so as we become financially healthy and financially educated, we will be better stewards of those finances, and we'll do some of the things that you and Philip talked about just early on, right? And so it's important for us to start to leverage our financial habits. We like to call behavior economics into some of the things that we do.
I love it. See, we're already talking big words, fatalities. I'm just introducing the panel and we're already on fatalities. That tells you how serious it is in our community. I wanted to say earlier how important it is to first build community. I like to liken what we're doing tonight as building community. So again, if you're just joining on, please invite others to take a listen at what the conversation is tonight. Building community, building wealth. I want to go ahead and welcome, before we get too deep, because the summer's about to take me there with fatalities. But before we go any deeper, I want to welcome on Michelle Levi McDaniels, CEO of Elite Image. We were talking with her just before we went live. Hi, Michelle.
How y'all doing? Hey, everybody. Thank you, Miss Sky Houston, for letting us share with you today.
Absolutely.
I got some big words too, Kylie and Philip. Yeah, we all go back, but I got some big words.
Hello. I see people chiming in already in the chat. Hey, Betty. Betty, get ready. Michelle's about to drop her big words. Get your pen and your pad. Again, take notes tonight. Don't let this just be a passive conversation. We're just getting started, but take notes. Feel free to take notes. Feel free to tweet something. If somebody drop a line, get ready for what Michelle's about to drop. If someone drops a one-liner that just you couldn't pass it by, please tweet it. And at us so that we can go grab it. Before I get going with Michelle, I want to welcome on also Monty Hawkins. She is the CEO of Fig Restoration, and that's another thing we're talking about tonight, restoring our community. Hey, Monty.
Hello, good evening, everybody. Thanks for having me. It is such a pleasure, and I'm ready to roll with this conversation.
Yes.
Good stuff, Monty. Monty, I see a word in the back. Don't tell me your word is fig tonight, because fig is a small word. They're dropping big words tonight, okay? Big words.
You know what? But you know, fig is a small word, but it comes with a powerful, amazing punch. That FIG stands for faith in God. So let me tell y'all, this is what it's all about. And we are getting ready to make sure we get the word out so that everybody can come along and have some hope, have some faith to get that credit and everything else associated with finances on the right track.
All right, there you have it. The energy is ready. The one-liners are ready. The big words are ready. But I hope you guys are ready to receive what they have. Let me just be transparent really quickly. I didn't let Michelle tell you what it is Elite Imaging does, but I'm going to give her that opportunity. But let me start by first pointing out these old-fashioned earplugs I have in today. Michelle was talking earlier about children. Now, she says she's the best auntie there is. You can drop your kids off with her, or you cannot. But the point of what I'm saying is, I had nice earbuds, Michelle. They were the top of the line, expensive ones. But I also have something called a child, right? Yeah. I have one son. He's 9 years old, and he too likes expensive things. Go figure. Long story short, they're broken now, and I'm with these. So what I've been trying to do is teach my son at the ripe age of 9 what money is, the value of money, and how to hold on to it. He doesn't understand why yet, but he does know what a $30 million home looks like, and he wants to live in one. So yes. I'm big on today talking to my son, having the conversations about wealth building. So I'm going to be selfish tonight and glean from all of you guys on the panel, because I too am interested and hell-bent on building wealth for myself and for my son. So let's get started there. Philip, why is it important to build wealth? And for someone tuning in right now who has never heard of the concept, what is building wealth and why does it matter?
Well, you hit it on the nail, right? And in terms of your 9-year-old son and trying to change his behaviors, and Kylie was alluding to this earlier in terms of being good steward. In order to build wealth, you're changing it's a mindset in terms of the value of something that you see in front of you, or something that you think you need to have, or something you want to have in terms of a better life. And for us at Equiliberty, that's where we're using gamification too, is to say, okay, look, it's that $30 million home. You need to educate yourself and figure out, okay, what does it take to get there? In order to do so, you have to become financially literate. So when I'm meeting with my 4-year-old, she sees daddy going to the bank. She sees daddy having conversations. She also knows that when we're paying for stuff, that debit card, that's not a plan card. Actually, money coming off that card each time I swipe it. And so it's having those conversations so that they pick up these habits and they become better stewards. And that's important, because as you pass it down, because Sky, you work hard.
I do.
I see you're in church networking another day. You're on a radio platform, and everybody on this platform works hard. And the goal is to be able to pass down to that 9 or to the Summers kids, or Michelle's. Now her kids are older, and Monty talked to kids and mine. And the only way you can truly pass it down where it's being preserved is if you educate them. They have those good habits. They have financial literacy, so they can protect everything you work for. Otherwise, we'll keep hitting the reset button. And so that's where it's really important to understand how building wealth works, but then also how you can pass it down and having that financial literacy.
Let me one word,
so that the next generation can protect it and preserve.
One word that I wanted to share about what Philip just dropped nuggets on, Scott, about what you were saying you were sharing with your son. It's about principles. Mm-hmm. It's about wealth principles. It's about the principles that we want to set forth. And I know for me, in the community I grew up in, we didn't talk about principles. We didn't know what principles look like. I mean, when you talk about principles, you think I'm going to see the principal at the school. No, that's not what we're talking about, right? And so, as a community, I think that's the part of the whole platform that we need to do I agree with everything Philip just said about teaching the children about that. Also about watching them, watching us be entrepreneurs and own our own businesses. But how much do we tithe, Fig? How much do we give back to the person that gave us all the work? And so it's just about it's just about so much that is there that we're missing as a community. One of the things that I was sharing with Philip about is how not just about it's the principles, but what actions are we taking for that, right? We got to stop going to Ace Check Cashing to cash our checks. We got to stop going, to these online banking institutions where we don't have relationships with people. And it is partly because we don't have we have banking deserts in some of our communities. So all of us sitting here, we got to work on that to bring some banks into our communities. But it's just those basic principles.
I have a question really quickly, since we're on the financial part and talking about financial institutes. Kylie and Talisha, what is it that Spend Debt does? And what would you recommend those folks who Michelle is speaking about, who go to cash checking places now? What would you recommend that they do?
Yeah, so at large, I think she's talking about the unbanked and underbanked, right? Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of reasons why people are unbanked and underbanked. And most of that is around one word. We're throwing around words today, but it goes back to trust. We don't, as a community, trust these institutions for a lot of reasons.
Yeah.
Right? And we don't have time on this call today to discuss that, but we have to find measures to where we can safely put our money into these banks, so we can leverage financial technology tools, and so we can ultimately use automation to support us where we're weak. We're weak in being disciplined in paying those bills. Automating our finances allows us to create this discipline that ultimately gives us the ability to be smarter, improves our payment history, right? Which ultimately does what Fig and Fig Restoration does, right? Is to help improve that credit score, that credit worthiness, right? But if we have to think about it emotionally, it's too much. And we're going to go get that pair of shoes. We're going to go to the club and buy that bottle, right? It just, unfortunately, it's the harsh reality. That's why our buying power is so large, but yet we own so less. And so we are using, back to the big words, the behavior economics, to help imply and put in good principles, to Michelle's point, to allow people to spend money and pay off debt at the same time, because we know how impactful our spending habits can be. And so I see that's what Spend That is all about. So hopefully I answered your question.
It did. Thank you. I see Cecil in the chat saying trust is huge. And if y'all see me laughing, I'm not laughing at us. I'm laughing at the hilarity of some of the comical things that we do out of habit, right? Someone spoke about generationally, we do what we've seen, or we do what has been discussed. And I hope my best friend is not on here, but I laugh at her husband all the time. He loves Gucci and all of the designer things, but he does like Michelle says, he'll go cash his check somewhere. And he believes still in keeping his money at home. His money is safe with him. So how do we, going back to what Philip said about mindset, how do we change mindsets in the community? Like, it's easy to say it, we're going to do changing mindsets and go with principles, but how do you get the principles out there? Are there programs that you guys know of that are teaching these to adults? Because we can't pass it to our generations if the adults aren't getting it. So what can we do in 2021 for those individuals who are still stuck in their parents' ways, the ways they've seen and adopted?
So one of the things that I do in my program is, with traditional credit repair, you're going to sign up and just get some things deleted. But in my program, it's not that way. If you sign up with me, you have to have the right mindset. And we talk about mindset motivation. we have to understand the foundation and like going back to the principles. A lot of times when you can take someone and hold them accountable, but yet they know that they have an accountability partner with the person that's helping them, it gives them the courage and the motivation to go head on and take this journey and do it. Because sometimes the journey gets hard and it gets rough, especially if you come from a background like myself, where financial literacy was not in our households. The journey gets rough, and sometimes you want to throw in the towel, but having someone that can take you by the hand and say, hey, you got this, but your mindset has to be right first. That helps a lot.
Let me ask this, because I see a lot of people in the chat saying they're partnering with Michelle. They've worked with FIG with their credit restoration. Really quickly, would you guys, for those who are just getting on, go through and say what your services are, what you do. So Monty, I'll start with you. What is FIG again, and what programs do you have?
So FIG Restoration is a credit consulting company, and we assist those that suffer with less than perfect credit profiles to increase their credit scores through credit education, credit restoration, and motivation. So yes, we do have basic, credit restoration and repair, but we also have advisory services for those that don't need, a full credit restoration program. And all of our services begin with a credit report consultation, because that's going to let you know right there exactly where you stand if you need credit repair. Because the thing that individuals need to understand is that just because you have a low score does not mean that you need a full credit repair services. That may just be the place where education plays a part, and you need to learn how to build your credit profile, learn how to properly use your credit cards, and all of those things. And that's something that I can identify on the front end. So education plays a really big role in all of our finance and all of our services, plus education. We are everywhere in the community providing credit education to business incubators, nonprofits, and so forth and so on.
All right. Thank you. And Michelle, tell us a little bit about your programs and what you do.
So Elite Image Tax and Notary Service, we are a professional accounting firm. And so our 4 service areas, of course, one is financial literacy and education. We are in the disaster recovery services industry, taxation, and then consulting, risk assessment, financial analysis, and things like that. So some of the programs that we offer primarily promote healthy taxation. What does it look like? In our communities, we are so afraid of the IRS. I don't know why. We don't like the IRS. That's a nasty word. But I'm going to tell you, if you stop throwing them letters in the mail, it won't be a nasty word. I know we don't like the love letters, but if y'all just respond, y'all going to stop getting the love. So what we do is we talk about healthy taxation. And for us in our communities, we do bad things throughout the year in order to get that one fat refund at the end of the year. I need people to understand that's going away. I also want to say this, Sky.
Wait, Michelle, you can't just do subliminals. Say straight no chaser. What are the bad things that we're doing throughout the year to get the love letter on our side at the end of the year? Please elaborate.
That's exactly where I was going. So how much time we got? No. So I need y'all to change y'all W-4s on your jobs. You know you ain't got 10 exemptions and T-Pimply and you're living in your house. Yeah. And they taking out all them taxes. They're not taking out enough taxes because you don't say you got 12 people and it's just you and Lil Junior in the house. Right. So then when it comes time for you to file taxes, you're not able to participate in getting your earned income credit. So that's number one. We misuse our withholding statements, and we're not projecting correctly on that. Number two, we're claiming people that we should not be claiming. If your Uncle Bubba lives with you and he's 69, he is not your dependent. Okay, I need you to leave him where he at, and I need you to focus on what you're doing. And so then we're not planning right for what taxation looks like. Every year, our tax rates go up 0.001%. I know she's like, that number is so whack. It is. but it's a inflation of what your tax rates look like every year. So no matter what, it happens. Number four, we don't file on time. And if we don't, we got more excuses than Bubba going to jail about why I can't file my taxes on time. If we file on time, y'all, we can get out of the penalties. We can get out of the interest. We can get out of all of that nasty whole window about what that looks like. And then if you do owe, don't be throwing the letter in the mail talking about you didn't get no letter and you owe them money. You know you got that letter. You put it in the shredder. Yeah. I need you to make out a payment arrangement with them. Stop being afraid of the Internal Revenue Service. They are putting out so many programs right now to implement for people that aren't filing. If you are a W-2 worker and you haven't filed taxes since 1989, that they're about to file those returns for you. That's a whole bunch of interest. But the one thing I want to say, Sky, real quick because I know everybody else have to talk. I want us to understand what's happening with this advanced child tax credit. It is not free money. I said it. I'm gonna say it again. It is not free money. Everybody should have received that July 15th payment. If you are working and you are sustaining, you're getting back on track. Not that everything is perfect, but that you're working. Please opt out of future payments. Go to irs.gov, click on Advanced Child Tax Credit, and click on Manage Payments, and please opt out. Because what's going to happen is when you file your taxes in 22, you're not going to get your earned income credit and your child expenses because they're giving them to you right now. Wow. So don't be looking and saying, why I didn't get my refund. If you are that person that looks every year for this huge refund, opt out of the advanced credits. Today is August 3rd. You need to do it by August 6th. Otherwise, you're already going to get your second payment. That is going to hurt so many people because next year, because they've given it to you up front, there could be the potential that you owe money because you typically are in the credit lane. So please opt out if you don't need it. irs.gov.
A quick question for you, Michelle, because that's a big nugget you just dropped, because I don't think anyone really knows that this is not free money, especially those who it just dropped in their account because they didn't have to do anything per se to opt in it. So those people who have already received that payment, what can they do? And how will the masses know this? Where's this information? I'm sure it's on the IRS's website, but how will someone know these things if they don't know?
So to answer your first question, everyone got the July 15th payment. If you have children under the age of 17, you're getting, so from 0 to 6, you get $3,600 per kid total. From 7 to 17, you get $3,000.
Everyone who has filed their taxes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. So if you've been filing with your children to get the credit, that's what you're getting. July 15th, everyone got that payment because that's what President Biden wanted in the new CARES Act. But if you, so that payment, you're going to have to report on your taxes that you already received it, and whatever credit you should get, it's going to be that July 15th payment is going to be deducted from that. So going forward, if you keep accepting your advanced credits through December at tax time, you got to report that you received that credit. You won't get another credit, and you could potentially end up owing if that's how you look to live every year, is by getting that. The information is available on my LinkedIn. It's available on our business Facebook, on my personal Facebook. We've done a public service announcement for everyone to just please opt out. And I know so many people in the Black and brown communities, we want to go balling like your friend and buy some Gucci come tax season. And that's not going to happen this year because people don't understand that money is not free. And I'm sorry that so many of our families are going to suffer because of that.
And shout out to all the people who just spent their 300 school shopping, because I know
Exactly.
I know people who just spent money that money specifically this week getting ready for school. So thank you, Michelle. That is great information. After this broadcast, what we'll do is collect what notes we have from all of our panelists and try to drop them on our social media pages, or you can go back and watch this again. Okay, guys. Again, please let people know this live is happening. We still have a little more to go. Michelle, I love you talking about the principles at the top of this, because so far I've heard, listening to you, I've heard principles. The first principle I heard was open your mail and address it. Open your mail and address it. Answer the phone calls. Stop dodging. Principle 1.
Yes.
Answer. Principle 2, I believe, is don't be afraid to take care of your tax deductions and things that you are filing, because they're being filed incorrectly, whether you know it or not. Say last year, it made sense to have 12 people coming out of your, on your W-4, but it may be a different scenario. Go to your HR or your business department and update it. See if it's correct. Was there any other principles you wanted to leave them with?
One other thing, I appreciate Philip and Equiliberty, Spend That, Monty, you, but let me tell you, every one of us is sharing something that affects all of us on taxes, right? We're not buying homes, so we don't have any debt. We don't have anything to write off because we don't own any properties, right? For people that are unbanked, they want, and so that service we don't offer. We don't offer to put your refund on a cash card. That's a service that I don't offer because I don't believe in that. There are a lot of tax services that will give you a loan for your money, for your refund up front. I don't believe in that concept. So I opted out as a tax professional not to offer that service because I believe in what Spend That is offering. Stop using that debit card. Stop getting that those cash cards. Stop doing that, right? So everybody on here, and when Philip put that together, I'm like, wow, this is going to be amazing. I don't think 1 hour is going to be enough time because we all got so much to share and we all kind of gel together. I see the mistakes that we're making on our taxes, and it affects so many other areas. So
you just reminded me of something else, Michelle, with that. Thank you. Before we go back to Spend It, let me swing it back over to Monty really quickly, because I think one of the reasons we go to these loan places, we go to the quick fix, is because we need access, right? We need quick access to some liquid cash that we need to pay a bill right now, a car note now. Children need something now. So my question for Monty is this: we're eating up. We're so far in debt. What is a quick tip to pay down debt so that we have more access to our monies and we're not going for the quick fix? Would you give them not a quick tip, but one principle to kind of attack their debt to keep them out of that situation?
Yeah, the first thing is live within your means. That's number one. In our community, we love to spend. And it just keeps us in a place that keeps us being a slave to the lender. When I'm looking at credit reports, I see so many different speedy cash and so many different things. And when we're talking about reducing that debt, a lot of times individuals will say, well, I just don't have enough income. I just don't have enough revenue coming in. And so when I'm telling them, let's take a look at your budget, they become so surprised when they see, hey, I didn't realize that I did have this amount of money that I could have left over at the end of the month. But to be honest, because you went and ate 30 pounds of crawfish during the month, you went shopping, you went bought this bag. And I'm just bringing this up because our community, we love crawfish. I love crawfish. I love chicken.
I like crawfish.
All of that, And when we get to spend emotional spending, that's another thing is I tell individuals, cut out that emotional spending. We get, whether we're happy, we're sad, we just start spending. And we're not looking at the foundation and those basic bills that we need to take care of every single month.
What I hear you saying, Monty, is that we have it coming in. If we have something coming in, it's not necessarily what you have coming in, but what you're doing with it, with what you do have. So the principle there is monitor what you have coming in. I won't say the B word because you can throw the budget word at people, but not a lot of us in the community sit down and really make a budget. So speaking at that base level, monitor what you have coming in and shift or kind of curb what we're doing. Crawfish, clothing. I like makeup and coffee. So figure out what your thing is that is eating your extra money, and you may find a way to throw that towards your debt. Like if you have a speedy cash loan out right now, wean yourself off. No, real talk. Currently where you are, meeting you where you are today, August 3rd, 2021. If you have one of those cash advances out now, you know it's coming out next week and then 2 weeks after that. Figure out what you're doing with your money now. Stop eating out. You don't have to. Cook at home. Stop buying candies for ourselves as adults and throw that towards those loans so they can stop eating your money.
Yes.
Okay. And we're talking about today community. First, building our community. This is us building our community, speaking to our community where we are in love and enlightenment, because that's what it's about, so that we can build wealth together, right? Nobody makes it out here alone. I got that from Poetic Justice. No, seriously. I love that everyone has a common reference in the culture that can be, a baseline for us all. I'm going to take it back to Philip really quickly, because the whole point is generational wealth. And I think it was Monty that mentioned ownership, owning property or owning homes. What can we start doing, or where's the mindset in 2021 as it relates to attaining these values, things that are going to increase in value?
I mean, first and foremost, great conversation so far. And what I like about it is you're talking to experts. And I think when you're talking about owning financial assets or creating or growing generational wealth, it does mean you need to have those professionals in your life. So today we brought financial service experts together. You have, Kylie and Talisha from Spend Debt, who know about spending away your debt through their technology platform. You have Michelle McDaniel, who has her tax and accounting professional. And you have Monty Hawkins, and you've seen all the people who she's helped go inside the chat. That's where it really starts. If you're trying to buy a home, you need to talk to the expert and get the proper knowledge so that you have the proper foundation. As you know, Sky, I have my own law practice at Yates & Associates, where I do corporate law. I do a little probate, and I do a lot of, say bankruptcy, but it happens. That's a wealth building tool. But I tell people, you don't know what you don't know. And I think you have to start off with that mindset in the wealth building process, so that you say, look, next time we might be hosting something with all marketing professionals, so people can learn how to go to market, how to use social media, how to create a marketing plan, how to use media. Then you may be talking to some legal teams, so you learn about intellectual property, learn about incorporating. I know Michelle and I had a great conversation about just the pandemic, and we were saying that when the government first came out with the CARES Dollar Act, a lot of people in our community couldn't qualify for financing because they didn't know how to set up the proper infrastructure. They didn't know that you need to have your taxes and actually pay taxes and have your registered employees. I mean, these are learned disciplines that you have to go to subject matter experts or mentor to find. And so I think that's the next step in the process, is that as we have these conversations around Radio 1, you need to have the right people around the table bringing that communal knowledge and sharing it with the people who want to build wealth.
Absolutely. And if you would, Philip, for the ones who do not know how exactly you build wealth, there are 3 main ways that you truly can build wealth. Would you share what those are? And why this conversation is important, and why we have the 3 other panelists in their respective areas on what are ways to build wealth, because I know just going to work, doing my 9 to 5 is not the way to wealth.
No, the primary way is owning financial assets. And so income producing assets is the number one way of doing that. And so when you're, for Equiliberty, which those of you just joining, you asked a question earlier about, where do you get education? And so we do have a free business education for Sky that will start in August, in which if you go to www.equiliberty.com, you can start this process. But the number one way is owning financial assets. So that's either a home or a business. Those are the two primary ways. Now, there's some derivatives or variations in which you can go in terms of owning a home, because you can have your homestead, which is the home you live in. That's your first asset that you should be working on, that you can utilize to build wealth. And then you can start having other property ownerships in terms of whether it's commercial property, rental property, investment property. It goes on, it goes down the line in terms of how you can build up your balance, your personal, have actually create wealth. And then they're starting a business. And so you're creating something that creates value. I'm not talking about starting a job. And so a lot of times when people they create these companies, which is another job for themselves, doesn't even make as much money as if they were a W-2 employee. So it's cool to hashtag boss. It's cool to hashtag to say I'm in business for myself. But if you're going to go down this journey, you should be talking about creating wealth. A company that's going to create value, that's going to give you what
I don't know.
I said at the very beginning.
There we go.
I think Phillip, that's his office building.
It's his building. Really quickly, I love what Phillip is talking about. He doesn't even know he's frozen. Oh, friend. Phillip, you're going in and out with this. Oh, it's okay. I'm acting like I have sign language. Okay. We're talking about wealth building, and a lot of what Phillip was saying, I can almost hear in the spirit somebody saying, well, I don't want to own a business. So that isn't the way to wealth for me. And that's okay as well. But whether you own your business or not, you have a job. So the conversation for you may be, how can I go speak to a mentor, anyone on this panel, about what to do with my income that I have currently? If I don't want to own a business, how can I invest a portion or percentage of what I make? How can I save and then make my savings make money for me? Those are options and ways to build wealth. And we can dig deeper into it. Matter of fact, I believe this wealth building conversation is going to go on for a series because there's so much more to talk about. Really quickly, Phillip, give me a 2 if you can hear me.
Peace.
Okay. Now, all right. Now, tell me a little bit more about Black Gap. I see your shirt. I've been seeing that wonderful logo. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, sorry for the technical difficulties. I'll work on that, guys. It's a startup. Block the Gap is a call to action. And this is a primary example where you have businesses coming together. You have community leaders coming together. We have bankers that have accepted this call. You have government leaders that have accepted this call to action, where we can come together to block those historical gaps to the wealth building process. And so when you start talking about making wealth accessible and affordable to everyone, it starts with us. And so if you read the shirt, it says movement starts with me. And you heard everybody on this platform share their knowledge, their human capital, and their resources, and actually did it for free. And this is going to help somebody go out and start their process of building wealth. And so we started this movement to sign more people up. And as we start moving from neighborhood to neighborhood, we'll have a team of people that all believe in the same thing, which is mean, hey, we can share our community resources to build communal assets to help build generational wealth. And so if you're interested, go to www.equiliberty.com. If not, we'll come to you, because we will be going to neighborhoods across Houston, and we're proud to have Radio One as a partner in this journey and this movement that we started.
Absolutely. Before we wrap it up, I want to throw it back to Kylie and Tylisha. I know you guys have a beautiful baby. So wealth building for you, I know it's not just a job. It's not just what you do for your business. But tell me, when you guys are doing the work that you do, what do you see mostly when people come in to work with Spend It? What hesitations do you see, and how can we get over those hesitations that people come in with?
It's a good question. And most of the time, it's like people don't know their spending habits. And for our platform, you can come create a profile, link the bank account you want to pay from, such as like your Bank of America checkings account. You can tell us the debt account you want to pay. So let's say you want to pay your Sallie Mae student loans. Then the third step is
he says student loans.
Oh yeah. The third step is you set your micro payment. This could be anything greater than 50 cents. So let's call it $1. So let's say I buy my favorite latte from Starbucks at $5. Automatically, $1 is added to that transaction. $5 will go to Starbucks. $1 will go towards that Sallie Mae student loan. And over a course of a month, we aggregate all those transactions and we send a one-time payment on your behalf. And so the hesitation from people is like how much should that micro payment be? Like they're having 50 to 75 transactions in a month, but they don't know that. And so, as a dollar per transaction, that may be too much, or $5 per transaction may be too much. And so we see people bag that thing down from $5 to $2 because they didn't realize how much they were really spending. But here's the caveat in all. The caveat is through those behavioral economics of those transactions, they are paying off their debt. They paying down that Sally Mae. They're having that consistent discipline in paying those bills. That's how spending works. And we believe that's the hesitation that some people are having, but it's a good hesitation because now they're aware of some of the habits that they didn't even otherwise know and understand. And then real quick, I want to make a quick point back to some of the conversation we had previous to this question. Some people may not know where to start, and some people may be knee deep in debt. And just like, man, I don't know. To Muncie's points, like people looking for more income. But the reality is, I think we need to do an assessment of the things that we have, right? Forget about keeping up with the Joneses. Forget about trying to impress people that you don't even know and try to get the people that's in your circle to like you. It doesn't matter because they ain't got to pay for that stuff. Let some of that stuff go. If it's the house, it's okay to sell a house, downsize, gather yourself, take the money out of escrow, pay that debt down, and go get a house that you really can, really afford in the B word, the budget, right? Versus stressing yourself out, trying to work 80 hours in one day to never be able to make that payment. It doesn't make sense because ultimately you're gonna end up in Philip Yates law firm, in bankruptcy. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do you reset yourself by selling some of the things that you have to really get your life under control? Because I'm telling you this, what we saw in our own personal journey, we overcame $100,000 of consumer debt. What we saw is when we did that. So I'm not telling you to do something that we haven't done. When we did that, not only did we become financially healthy, we became healthy medically. We worked out more. We had more time. It really unlocked so many different things. And ultimately, guess what? We created and developed spin that to help others. We've been able to create a business because we became financially healthy, and so many other things were connected to that. So
I love it.
I just wanted to drop that in because it may be somebody who's just trying to figure out what to do and don't know. Yeah. Start to do an assessment of your assets and see what you can sell to get money to start paying down some of the debts you have.
And if I could add one more thing, I would just say you have to know your score, right? So in order to change your score, you got to know your score. And a lot of people's hesitation is that they don't want to address all the debt that they have, and they don't know how much they have. They just know they keep getting this mail, and they keep throwing it in the trash or putting it somewhere and not paying attention to it and not opening it and not addressing it. So you have to address it. You have to open it up. And I mean, that was for us. That was a realization in the beginning. Like at first, Kylie was managing his debt by himself, and I was managing mine before we got married. And then we hired a financial advisor, and we put it together. And I was like, dang, you owe that much?
Now, listen, Talisha, since you already put it out there, I'm going to take the conversation here because I happen to know that people will talk about politics. People will talk about the bedroom, sex, everything else before they'll talk about their money and their credit, finances, how much I make, and what my credit looks like. Last thing, we're going to take it to the grave. So question for you and Mr. Summers here. When you guys got together, did you say, hey, tell me where you are before we cross this holy union, before we cross over to this holy union? Was that a real conversation for you guys? Because I don't believe we have them in relationships enough.
Absolutely.
Don't look at her. Don't look at her.
Guys, their anniversary. Don't ruin the marriage. It's their anniversary.
Please, our anniversary.
Oh my God. Kylie, let her go first. Let her go first.
Absolutely.
And honestly, how did you work through it? Where was it? And then how did you work through it?
Yeah, it was a discussion. It wasn't like, tell me before and I'm going to cut you off. It was, we have goals. Like we have, I guess, put it up on our shoulders to say that all generational curses end with us.
Amen.
Right? Because going forward, we want to build generational wealth. And so we had fortunately, we had a common goal in mind of trying to get out of debt. We were saving a lot of money, but we still had all this debt because no one told us that by just paying the minimums on everything, you were going to be in debt forever, right? Mm-hmm. No one told us that growing up. Single parent homes, the creditor told us all you got to do is pay $25. I can afford that. right? No one told us put more on it. And so when we got a financial advisor and we realized, oh yeah, if you have more, put more on it, so you're not owing them in. Like it was passed down to us. You're gonna owe somebody for the rest of your life. No, that's not okay with us, right? So
bills and the poor, you have with you always.
Yes, we had those discussions. We were aligned, and it was then about, okay, let's put some action behind this. Financial advisor, put it on the forefront. Again, it just brought down this layer, this wall, and it was just a huge transparency moment for us, honestly, that brought us closer after I got over the fact that he had so much in debt. But no, I'm kidding. But it's an important conversation. If it doesn't come up early, it's going to come up eventually, and it may come up when you're not well-mannered and polished, and it could end your relationship. So my advice would be to talk about it sooner than later, because it could really break up a happy home.
Yeah, it's number one. I think it's like number 1 or 2 reason why people get a divorce, right? Finances. And what I would tell you, we got better when we put the finances together. We got better, right? We were trying to manage it independently, but when we put those things together, we got better. It accelerated our plan, and we got there faster.
If we could just be transparent real quick, we're engineers by degree. We went from 2 incomes, engineering incomes. We are now currently start with a business, ramping up a business, right? We have 2 kids now, right? And we're able to do that because we are debt free. We would not have been able to do that on 2 engineering incomes with all the debt that we had. But now we're able to do what we're doing because we are debt free.
We're doing more.
Yes.
We're doing more.
And taking care of more mouths, right?
Yeah. We're doing more with 1 income than we did with 2. Again, we'll just be transparent. This is our story. We don't know what others are going through, but have the conversation. Don't be afraid. Know the score so you can change the score, and reach out. Reach out to SpendThat. We'll love to help you share more insight, how we can support and help others.
Thank you guys for that. And that's back to, we talked about building community. You build wealth and you build community. You guys are a smaller community, right? You guys are husband and wife. You guys are a community, right? People who aren't married may be saying, hey, that doesn't apply to me. You may have a friend or a family member that you can move in with, and you guys work collectively to knock down debt, share mortgage or rent, so that you have more to throw at debt collectively. So there's a way to do it no matter what your scenario is. And thank you again, guys, for sharing it. That's what I wanted. I want the real. I want to talk to people where they are. People relate more when it's real. So thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, guys, I'll open up the panel. If you guys have any last things you want to share, because we can talk all night, clearly. So please.
2 things, I think. Number 1, I think that you you were asking a question, what are some things that you can do if you are still working to kind of save so that you can pay off debt and things like that. If you are a W-2 worker and you are contributing to a retirement, a 401k through your employer, I do know that your employer manages that for you, right? And you don't know what it is. They just taking the money out, and you just hope and see in your statement. I need you to be proactive about the investments that they're contributing to on your behalf. And that also means that sometimes you may have to step outside of your employer, and you can do that. Step outside of your employer and go to a trusted resource in order to reevaluate how you are saving that money. So that is a way to build your wealth, is through that retirement, right? I agree with the investing. I agree with how to manage, and then knowing where you are, all of those things. But collectively, it all has to come together. The other thing that I want to mention, so for those of us that are entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about starting a business to build your wealth or investing in a business, please make sure you're using the right structure. Uncle Bubba that fixes cars down the street with the cigar bread out his mouth, he not legal, y'all. So he can't tell you how to run your business. He can't tell you how to structure. He can't tell you that. And I'm just laughing because I had an Uncle Bubba, okay?
My Uncle Bubba's listening, I know.
all the entrepreneurs in my family were not legal. And so I learned what an illegal entrepreneur looked like growing up, right? But seriously, as we're creating wealth, if we structure everything properly, that helps to create the wealth that we're trying to build. And then as you create your corporation, as you create that company, there are some things that you can do to build the wealth and create legacy within the company. So that's where we are. We just started our 10-year anniversary. And so now that we've been doing this 10, 12 years, as we're growing the business in other places, now I want to create footsteps. I want to create legacies and start acquiring all the things that we're talking about. So that's the last little piece of nugget that I want to say is just make sure that whatever you're doing is structured properly, because structure is protection for you.
Yes,
I love it. That's what it is. If you structure right, it's structure for you. But I want to laugh at the Summers, right? So my husband, real quickly, he retired out of the military. So he had banking, but he wasn't doing right, poor baby. But I said, honey, I love you. And if you got to be with me, this is what I do for a living. You can't be all out of control. He said, baby, can you take care of it? Yes. So I'm agreeing with you about coming together. We had that conversation, and I will tell you, I had survivor's remorse about being financially okay. But I am so at a point now that I'm not even embarrassed that we have wealth. And that's why it's so important that we give back. Every time Philip says yes, I'm there. Anytime you say yes about teaching, training, I'm there, because we're not doing it enough. And I think through Equiliberty and the platform that he's creating, that this is going to be something powerful and explosive, right, in everybody's lives. And I just want to get a bag of popcorn and watch it go.
Really quickly, Michelle, before we throw it to Monsi, you said two powerful things that I don't want people to bypass. One, if you are a business owner, maybe you've been running your business 20 years, you got it. Get legal, get legit.
Please.
Do whatever it takes to get the correct filings. That's number one. And then number two, what I heard you say, well, you said it, but I want to pin it, is people who may be getting some type of benefits through your employer, but you're not aware of what you have. Get your paperwork. October is coming around. You know, they always do re-enrollment for the next year in October. Get your paperwork. And if you are an older adult, maybe a baby boomer, if you're somebody who's listening, a Gen Xer or a millennial, it's for the community. Get some information, help your adult parent, your baby boomers, because they don't look at that paperwork. And it's just not about us growing wealth where we are. Help the generation up and the generation behind you.
Yes.
That's what you made me think about.
Yes.
All right. Monty, any last words?
Really quickly, just, I want to remind individuals when it comes to your credit, don't be afraid to take a look at your credit score. Have credit monitoring, watch that every 30, 60 days, because you can pull yourself out of a situation, or you can catch a situation before it even happens. So review your credit reports, pay all of your bills on time. That's one of the major things. One late payment can drop your score up to 100 points. So that's one of the greatest things that I see on these credit reports. And then lastly is, just like Michelle said, don't be afraid to talk to individuals who've been there, who's gone before you. I wouldn't be sitting on this platform right now if I hadn't have gone through Philip's class and utilizing his tools, and then him trusting me, and in turn doing the same thing. So no, we all have to continue learning and sitting at each other's feet in order to expand and grow our community.
Love it. Summers, y'all gave us some things. You want to wrap it up?
No, I just want to give a shout out to Equiliberty, Radio 1, just for having us. I think it's incredibly important for us to continue this conversation. It can't be a one and done, but I'm going to encourage people to have the conversation at home. It starts at home. Don't be afraid to open that mail. Don't be afraid to open the email, the text messages, however the creditors are coming after you answering the phone. Look, you got to know the score to change it. And just one little payment helps. You just heard Monty say one late payment can reduce your score by 100 points. That can be the difference between your kid getting that college loan that they need, or that could be the difference between you having your dream home. Don't let that happen to you, right? These are the beginning things of us getting education to begin the wealth building process. So we appreciate being on this evening, and we hope that we can continue the conversation with you all. Thank you.
Absolutely. And my guy Phil.
No, it's been a pleasure, Sky, as always. Kylie, Talisha, Michelle, Monty, thank you for sharing. For those who are listening, I mean, take notice. I'll tell you, Michelle and Kylie shared their experience. When my wife met me, I was in transition, which means I was unemployed. She was stable. And I tell this story all the time because she never looked at my dreams, and I said I was going to do this, I was going to do that. I found the right partner, and we did start having those conversations, but it did start with trust, which the Summers talked about. She trusted I was going to do what I was going to do. But more importantly, I kept the main thing, and I really went on this personal journey myself. So 10 years forward, I can check off all those boxes, meaning owning a home, owning rental property, having a savings account, having all the proper adequate life insurances, having a will in place, trust, having multiple businesses and multiple streams of income. That stuff takes time, but it will happen. And it doesn't happen without having people like the people on the call today, who are my advisors, who I look as peer mentors, who are the people in the community that Equiliberty will bring you, like your bankers, your lawyers, your other professionals that are saying, look, we'll work with you. You just have to say, look, I'm going to go on that personal journey. And then last but not least, Sky, everybody on this call, if you really can see, everybody here was thinking about going back and what I call virtuous cycle and giving it back to the community. That's your responsibility, right? When we start talking about building community and building wealth together, it's about you making it, but then coming back and being a mentor, advisor to somebody else, because it is each one teach one. It is a journey that we go on together. And if we all collectively make that decision and continue having this conversation and continue putting our best foot forward, I can see Equiliberty one day we're going to need it, because it'll be a natural progression where everybody is linked to the capital they need, the people they need, the resource they need to actually build the generational wealth that each and everybody deserves and should have the opportunity to pursue. So thank you, Radio One. Thank you to the Equiliberty team that helps put all this together. They just allow me to talk on their behalf, but I'm looking forward to having more conversations like this with our team, with our community, and with Radio One. So thank you.
Absolutely. I concur. Yes.
Can I get your email address from Philip so that I can include you in our newsletters? Because we send out newsletters, and maybe there might be a topic that you can share or some information, as it comes out. So
absolutely. All of you guys will have my information. We're going to connect. I don't want to just say it and we don't do it. Truly, let's add each other into the folds, and offline, keep doing what we're doing. I was just going to say, if you're watching this, the thing I was going to say is know what you want first. You can't do any of these things, take any of these steps, speak to any of these experts if you don't first know what you want. Decide what you want for your future, for your current situation right now, then for your future, and then for those around you. Decide that. And if you're saying, Sky, I'm already doing all of that, kudos. Go find somebody else who isn't and share the knowledge. We appreciate you guys for checking in. And like we said, you'll see more of these. So stay tuned. We thank you. Everybody have a good evening.
Good evening.